hope you enjoyed seeing my blooming spring yard. I was so inspired by the lovely colors that I just had to share. And I'm going to paint today a crabapple, which I normally don't paint blossoms, so I'm just going to try it and we'll hope for the best here. I've got several supplies, so this is just a handmade journal. It has Fabriano 90-pound cold press watercolor paper in it. I have a link below for Deanna, who makes the most beautiful handmade journals. I also have a palette here. This is one of my older palettes made by Sean's Printing. I will list that as well. Both of them can be found on Etsy. And then I've got brushes here. So I've got a Unipin. This is an 05 of the light gray. I love this pen. I like the 01 and 05. This is the Princeton Snap Brush in a size 10, the flat shader. And then I have the number 8 Long Round Aqua Elite by Princeton. I'm going to be using both of these. First I want to mix some colors, and I'm going to be using the Snap Brush for that, but when I start painting on the actual painting, I'll be using the Aqua Elite brush. So let me show you what I have so far. These are the colors that I'm going to be working with. Now on this palette here, I have a mix of a lot of different brands. This one here, this French Gray, is American Journey by Cheap Joe's. This Shell Pink is by Magello. This Opera Pink is by Daniel Smith. This Quin Violet is by Daniel Smith. Naphtha Maroon by Daniel Smith. Hematite Violet Genuine by Daniel Smith. Tundra Green by Schminke, and then Davies Gray by Holbein. What I'm going to first do is try to incorporate these 5 colors and see what kind of pinks I can come up with. The flowers are really intense, so I want to make sure that I'm pulling a bright enough pink. So I'm just going to use my flat brush and I'm going to do lines of color as we mix. I'm going to start with Shell Pink. I know that Shell Pink is a little too opaque, and I know that it is the wrong color really. I want something a little more on the hot pink side. But what I'm going to do is do Shell Pink first, and then we're going to mix some French Gray with it. So I'm going to dip into my French Gray. See how much lighter it gets. Now I'm going to touch into a little bit of that Opera Pink. Just a little bit. A little more water. And I think that is the first pink that I'm going to use, is something like that. I'm going to splash while I go. I'm going to keep adding Opera Pink to this mix and see what happens. I just want to see what kind of values it makes. Okay, it's getting a little too cotton candy-ish for me, so it's way too bright. So what I'm going to do now is add some of this Quin Violet, and let's see how it tones it down. Just a tiny bit. That's better. Did you see the shift? It took it from so sweet to a little richer color. Let's add a little bit more. That's a pretty color. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit more of the Opera Pink now. And now I'm going to touch into this really dark one down here, this Naphtha Maroon. It's a really dark color. Do you see that? So just a little bit should go a long way. Okay, let me kind of remix that here. So that was Opera, Quin Violet, there we go, and a little bit of the Naphtha Maroon. Okay, I want to go a little bit more of Naphthol Maroon. I want to see how dark I can get before it starts looking like a dead color. By that I mean not too much brown. I still want to have it look like a rich color, a nice tone. You can see there it's getting a little darker. I like that. Okay, we're going to do Naphthol Maroon one more time. Let's see here. Okay, that's pretty nice. I like the depth of that. It doesn't look too brown. I am going to do Naphthol Maroon right by itself there so we can see how far away that is from that color. See how much deeper and richer this one is, but I think it's a little too dark, a little too on the brown side. I will use probably from this range. I like this softness here with the shell pink and the French gray added. And I want to see how that kind of conveys into the colors that we're doing. I've got my flowers drawn here really softly. They are 3 big blooms here, and then I've got a couple blossoms on the edges. And I did a black and white so that I wasn't distracted by what the actual color is, because I'm a realist in color pencil and acrylics, but I'm trying to be a lot looser in watercolor. So I thought the black and white would help me a lot without me getting carried away with the details. I used my handmade graphite. If you haven't seen that, go to my 5 secret tips and you'll find out how to make your own graphite transfer paper. That's what I used here. Okay, I'm going to my Princeton round right now, the Aqua Elite, and I'm going to mix first a nice puddle of these light colors. So again, that was the shell pink, that was French gray, I need water, and some opera pink. I'm trying to match these in between these 2 tones right here. That's very pretty. Okay, a little more water over here. Then I'm going to add a little bit more opera over here and a little touch of the Quin Violet. Okay. I'm going to do just opera pink over here. Oh my goodness. Let's mix some shell pink into that and some French gray. And now we've got kind of 3 values. So as I'm puddling, I can play and dab and mix things in. Since I mixed, I've still got that on my brush. Doing several petals at one time so that I don't get distracted by the details. The struggle is real for me. Now I'm going to come into the lightest. I need more water in that. There we go. Trying to do this while all my petals are still wet. Let's see if those 2 can run together. Touching into a little bit of that bright pink over here for this one. Okay, I'm going to touch into that little purple mix now, where we added just a little bit of that darkness. Just water on my brush and try to lift some little areas out. Pretty happy with that. I'm going to splash. I'm using the splash as a texture, that's it, and to add some different kind of lights in here. A lot of people ask why I splash. I just use it for texture, basically. Okay, I'm gonna fast forward while I do the next couple leaves here. Same way. My pinks are now dry and I'm really happy with them. I've got a couple really dark leaves in here that I need to get in. So I've got this dark one here. This is kind of a reddish brown leaf. So is this one, and then I've got a couple green leaves in there. So I'm gonna do those just in fast forward. They are using the French gray, Davies gray, tundra green, and hematite violet genuine. Those are the four that I'm going to use in the background, so I'm going to make my leaves the same kind of coloration. I think I'm going to touch a little bit of this with the hematite. I'm going to try that to see if I can get that like reddish brown kind of color. Okay, you can see that the leaves really added a lot of nice darkness in there, and I really like that. I'm going to add the darkness to the flowers last. I want to get the background in there first. So for the background, I know I want it to be very mottled. You can see here that it's got a lot of lights and darks. This sky is very dark. I'm going to leave mine fairly light. And I'm going to do more of a bokeh effect. So that is more like hit and miss of little spots. So you can see a little bit of dots over here and a little bit of lightness in here. That's what I want. I don't want a solid background. So I'm going to mix some colors here. Because I want these fairly light, it's a lot of water. So I'm using French gray, and I'm going to use a little bit of Davies gray as well. A little more Davies over here. Just trying to vary the colors a little bit. And then I need a green for the lower part. I'm going to be using the Zen Oval Wash to wet the sky. It's a Zen 1/2 inch oval wash. And what I love about this is you see it's wet, so I can really get that nice point. And it's fairly thick bodied through here, so it holds a lot of water. So with clean water, all I'm going to do is wet the sky. This is going to be working wet on wet. You can see it's wet, but not standing puddles or anything, just damp. So I'm going to start by picking up a little bit of my paint here, and I'm just going to drop it in. Want a little more blue. Just water on my brush now. While it's still wet, I'm going to come in with just my brush now and draw little circles. Try to lift out some of the paint. I've got my background in and it looks really, really nice. What I want to do though is make some of the petals here fade into the background a little more. You can see that they kind of got a hard edge on some of them. So this is just a damp brush and I'm going to scrub pretty hard here to get the two of them to kind of let go of some of their paint. You can see how much softer that looks. That is a soft edge. I'm going to do the same thing over here. I like when they kind of blend into one another. Okay, that looks nice. See how they kind of go in and out now? I need to add some darkness to my flowers. And I'm going to go to these darker values here. Now that I have the leaves, I've just got to make sure that the leaves are still darker than my plants. You can see here in the black and white, the leaves are much darker than the actual plants themselves or the flowers. So I'm mixing Opera Pink, Quinacridone Violet, and a little bit of Naphthol Maroon. The final thing I'm going to do is with a white Posca pen, I'm going to just add a little bit of division into the centers here. Coming in with a little bit of Davies Gray right now, and I'm just going to add a little bit more bokeh effect to the background. like what that did to the effect of the sky. So let me bring you close. Here's my crabapple blossoms. If you were inspired by today's project, please like, comment, or subscribe. It will help my channel grow, and I'd really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching.